Please, for the love of everything holy, you guys will have to wait. I'm doing a live broadcast here. Jeff, I apologize. You know how it is when you got these groupies that follow you around. They just love people that make balloons and kids magicians like that. So there must be
Are
at least 1,000 outside the door. Security's doing their best to keep them away.
they're like banging on the door. I mean, where are you, Darryl?
Man, I'm in my motorhome, and
Yeah.
they're like zombies. I mean, they're crawling all over the motorhome, trying to get through the windows and stuff. It's just it's horrible.
It's tough
I never
life
seem to
being.
learn how to twist balloons. Ever since then, it's been this way.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Copeland Coins live stream here with our special guest, the amazing, the talented, the super funny Mr. Darryl Miller, who is joining us from his travel trailer, heading out to shows. I understand he is a busy performer, and he's made time for us today. I'm super excited. We've got the live stream working. You guys hear my little flubs at the beginning, so
It is working now. Yeah.
working. Oh man, Darryl, it is good to see you, man.
You too. You coming down from what, Houston way, right?
Yeah, I'm down in the southern part of
Houston
the state.
area, yeah.
Yeah. Now, are you in Texas? Because you're
We're
up.
right outside of Texarkana right now in a little place called Leary, Texas. It
Okay.
is about 11 miles west of Texarkana.
What's the Texarkana? Of course, today's topic, a little bit, if you got the emails you're joining us today, is about a famous magician from Texarkana, somebody who Mr. Darryl Miller knew as good as anybody. And so we're excited to pick your brain. And if you guys have any questions or comments, they're welcome to come in, and we'll try to get to some things as we go. But yeah, Darryl, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself now, what you're doing, and then we'll get into Bobo.
Man, at my age, I try and do as little as possible and still get paid for it. But we're still out on the road doing shows. Primarily these days, we do mostly educational, motivational programs for schools. Before pre-COVID, we were doing about 200 performances a year in 12 states. We've cut that back now. We're still doing about 100 plus.
But still, only 100 plus shows. You don't realize how many of us watching right now are just amazed at that number. That is incredible, Darryl.
Well, no, it really pales in comparison. Bobo in his heyday with Miss Lillian, they were doing 400 plus shows a year, man. 400. And I doubt that will ever be replicated. I'm blessed and to be able to do what I do for sure, and earn a living at it. There's a lot of people would gladly do it for free if they could. I'm not any more talented than anybody else. We just really work hard at it, enjoy what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. That shines. And just talking to you, your passion for magic, your passion for entertaining and educating kids in school assemblies, it's just top notch. And I can't help but imagine, and you shared some of that, is it's inspired by Bobo. And can you break that down for us real quick? Because you shared some with me earlier, but 400 shows in a year, how is that even possible?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I think you and I touched base on it last night when we were doing sound check and stuff, but they had it down to a science. I mean, it was a fine science. It was a beautiful thing to watch. He would pull up to a show, and literally from the time they got out of their car, and he didn't drive a big fancy van, and it was a car, and they would get out, and from literally the time they got out of the car, he could start a program in 15 minutes.
It takes me like 3 hours.
Seriously, they had 3 cases they would carry in. Most of the time, they would use the sound system at the school. If for some reason they didn't have one, he had a little portable system he could set up in 2 or 3 minutes. He would set up the 3 side tables. That was his job. He would set up the center table, the 2 side tables, and Miss Lillian would pull out the first 3 effects for that particular show.
Okay.
He had 4 different shows that he would carry to the schools. He wouldn't repeat one until every 5th year. But she would pull out the first 3 tricks, set them up on the table. He was setting up the tables, and they were ready to go. So as the show would progress, she would, when he would use a trick, we'd place it back on the table. She would bring a new one out, pick the old one up on a tray, bring it back, and pack it.
Okay.
And so when the show was over, it was over. They were
Yeah.
packed and ready to go. He would grab his check, grab his money, and they'd be out the door. And usually the schools were close enough where, sometimes you'd have to do two performances at a school, but they were doing four, and in some cases, five performances a day
Yeah.
at schools.
Wow.
And they
Wow.
would work 35, 40, about 35 weeks out the year doing the school circuit. And then
Wow.
they do other things as well. But yeah, that feat in and of itself, I doubt will ever be replicated. You know,
Yeah. I just can't imagine. I mean, it's just hard to. I don't know. I would say there's competition. There's just the endurance factor to do that for so long. That's just that is.
yeah. Well, there is in the sense there, but and as Bobo said, magic evolves, and you have to evolve with it. And
Okay.
back when he was doing it, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have all these big mega specials on TV. Copperfield
Uh-huh.
came along, and around the holidays, people look forward to that. And so, usually, the only magic that folks were exposed to was what they seen at their local magician or some magician passing through town. And so that's where he came in. But now you see all these things. You can, but man, it's hard to get by with just a set of hippity hop rabbits. You have to bring bigger stuff now. And so bigger
Yeah.
stuff takes longer to set up. You need assistance.
Okay.
And so it takes longer to break down. So you can't get in and out in 15 minutes. My normal setup time is about 45 to 50 minutes to set up. About 30
Yeah.
minutes I can get out, 35 I can get out of there,
Uh-huh.
but in some
Yeah, I
instances it
think that
just
would
takes
be
longer.
probably typical for somebody doing your line of work, just to think that he moved that fast is just so I just help me out, Daryl, a little bit. For those that aren't familiar with Bobo and really don't know, like, can you break it down a little bit? Because most of us, if we're here, we're checking out the live stream, we're familiar with this book. It's The New Modern Coin Magic by JB Bobo. And it's all about coin magic. And so what did Bobo perform? Like, what kind of magic is he performing? Nothing but coins for these kids? Like, what kind of stuff is he doing?
It's really he did coin magic, obviously, and he was very, very good at it. And
Yeah, I've seen some videos.
but he wasn't really noted as a coin magician. That is just a
Huh.
collection of coin effects from various people all in the magic industry.
Yeah.
And it's if anybody's going to be serious about magic, either as a hobby or as a living, you got to
Uh-huh.
have this book. I mean, if
Yeah.
you don't have it now, you need to get a hold of Jeff and get a book from him over there, because everything you want to know about coin magic is in here. Everything that you ever want to know. And so I'm not bragging, but there's my copy right there, and that's
Yeah.
autographed by Mr.
Oh!
Bobo right there. And
Oh, wait
so,
a second. Hey, hold that up there. Oh,
and he would always say, that I said he'd always want people just call him Bobo, and I would always call him Mr. Bobo,
uh-huh.
and because I just had that respect, and he'd always be Mister to me.
Yeah.
So, but his
You
name was
always say
JB
that.
Bobo.
You always say that, and when you talk about his wife, Miss Lillian, you're very
Yeah, they
smart.
were married for a long, long time. They worked together, for so long, and
And she was the
inseparable.
one you said she's working the show, she's packing things up and
Yeah,
making
yeah,
things happen.
they were so good, Jeff. They were so good at it. She magicians have to read an audience. Like when I set up for a show, if I'm doing an hour show, I probably have an hour, 20 minutes material set back, and I
Uh-huh.
will change things on the fly. And
Okay.
so you have to read an audience. Some things may not go very well, as well as something else. There's many times Mr. Bobo didn't know what was coming out.
Re
Miss Lillian would read the
What?
audience. Yeah, yeah, and she would change on the fly. She would bring something else out that she thought would go over better. They were that in sync with each other, and he would pick
Can
it up like never miss a beat, man.
I cannot imagine if I mean, I think
Yeah,
if we rehearsed it or talked about it, my wife doing that to me, but, like, I don't know what I would do. I'm sure I'd
yeah.
roll with it. I'm on stage, but I
They
can't
they would always,
imagine.
as do most magicians. You have something either on your person or something readily accessible to where sometimes things may break or something, you know, that you can grab it on the go and nobody's the wiser because you don't
Of
want dead
course,
time
yeah.
on the stage. Yeah. And
Okay.
so they had that set back, but she would grab stuff, they would have it laid out, and she would
Would
read
she
that
prank
audience,
him?
okay.
Would she ever like, "Okay, I'm gonna get him with this one?" Or
I, if she did, they never talked about it,
okay.
you
'Cause
know.
I'm thinking, I mean, with the one when I'm on stage, I wanna focus on the controllables, you know, there's so many things, and you're a children's performer, there's so many kids and distractions that you can't control. I can't imagine not knowing my next set or what I'm about to do
Yeah,
next.
and it would always work into the show, but you know
Wow.
the shows that we do are pretty much themed. Like this month is, you know, anti-bully, anti-drug month, culminating
Uh-huh.
with Red Ribbon Week. So we have the drug programs at the end of this month, and we'll be doing 16 or 17 programs that week.
Wow.
Um, you know, and so the you have a message behind most of the tricks, not all of them, but 80% of the tricks has a message behind it, that works into the theme of the show. Where Mr. Bobo shows were basically just fun type shows at the schools. And so he,
Yeah.
he could easily change from, you know, going into the pattern for whatever trick that
Oh,
was.
okay.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure he had done it many, many, many times.
Oh,
They
I
would,
can
when,
well, I can only imagine he could do his show forward and backwards. But speaking of
yeah,
his show and in-school assemblies and stuff, now you were and I claim this title for you whether you do or not, because you are in fact Bobo's last student. He was your mentor, and you've got some more stories to share. I don't want to cut those off, but you witnessed his shows, you have performed some of his effects. Could you share some of that stuff? You got anything with you today?
oh, I got a lot of stuff. You know, he had of this. I probably have of all the shows he had that he took to the schools. I've probably got about 75% of those effects.
Oh my gosh.
And in every show that I do, no matter what type of show it is, um, we always do one effect of his, uh, using his apparatus or whatever, and whenever possible, we use the exact pattern. Um, Sometimes not possible in the educational program, motivational programs we do, but we use those effects. So I've got, in the book, you know, I think it's chapter 13, Coin Magic for Stage. If you look in there, you'll see a coin wand, and
Uh-huh.
you'll have a little piece of equipment like this, a
Okay.
picture of it. And that is a
Whoa.
coin tray, which can be
Yes.
used for coins across, coin
I was
stand.
uh-huh.
And then I've got two wands. They call
So
the
those are
bowling
what the
coin wand.
illustrations in the book are based on. Most
Right.
of that.
Yeah.
That's his
That's
actual
that's
project. Let me
that's
let
it
me
right
get you
there.
on bigger screen here so everybody can see that.
That's it
Wow.
right there.
My
So,
goodness.
and that's the coin tray here. And
It's a
I
real
won't give
working
away
piece.
the method on this, but the basic effect is you can take 8 or 10 coins and have a kid remove 3 or 4. You place them on this stand. You can vanish them one at a time, visually in your hand, all together, and
Yeah.
then you dump the remaining coins in some spectators' hands on the other side of
Uh-huh.
the stage. You make the 3 or 4 disappear. He's got 6 in his hand. You make the 4 disappear, and then they reappear in his closed hand, where he has 10 coins now. You vanish 4, and he's got the full 10 back in his hand.
Wow. And you just mentioned and that I know the illustration is in the book. I was looking for it right now, and I can't remember. Did you say the page number or the chapter?
It's in
Yes.
chapter 13, I believe.
Okay.
Coin magic for stage, a stage coin magic.
Alright.
It's probably maybe the second or third effect in that chapter.
Alright. Yeah, I just saw it. Here, oh, here it is. Yeah, that's the actual
Yeah,
there it is.
and you can augment it. You can different ways to present it, but in there should be a coin wand, um, the original coin wand. But then John Bolin, he had I guess maybe the best coin wand ever made. Bobo had a couple of those, and one that he used in the shows. And then I've got a brand new one that's never with a letter from Bolin himself. That's in
Wow.
there. It's in mint condition. It's never been used. It's still stored.
Wow. Wow. So here comes a question actually from the audience. Christopher Weber asked, "Did Bobo make his own props?" It's kind of
Did he make his own props?
yeah.
Some of them he did, yes. Let's see what I got here. Oh, yeah, here. This is a flip box I got right here,
Okay.
that he made. Bobo made this.
Oh
And of
wow, that's
course,
beautiful.
What's that?
That's beautiful.
Yeah, he made this himself. He was actually a carpenter, and
Really?
did carpenter did window dressing and stuff for department stores here locally in Texarkana. But
Okay.
of course, he would put something in the box here to vanish,
Okay.
whatever it may be, and just drop it in there. And he would always put confetti in his boxes like that. And
Really?
then,
Back in the
yeah,
day.
yeah, and then it would just you flip the box over and it vanishes to where there's just nothing in there.
Whoa.
And so the confetti would fly out, and then you can take it back out if you want and pull it back out.
Nice.
But
Wow.
he would use this to this piece here. This is the very first piece he ever gave to me here,
Okay.
if you can see it. And you would take and vanish those silks like this with that flip box right there.
Uh-huh.
And you'd put them in a box and he would vanish the silks like that. And then you would take and you would set this on the table over there, vanish the silks, and then do a little bit of business with the magic wand or whatever. And then, of course, the silks would come back tied to the frame.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Now, Dumont Chris, I want to say it's Chris. He mentioned that's how used by dove magicians, right? That box is used by doves. But tell us about Bobo and his animals. Did Bobo use doves?
I'd never seen him use doves. He didn't use live animals at all. He said they were stinky and smelly and posed a problem when they had to stay in a hotel. He didn't stay in hotels that often.
Yeah.
He worked a close radius, and for the amount of shows that he did, got to have a lot of respect for that. But he would use, in fact, I've got this guy here now is probably about 60 years old, which is unthinkable for, an animal like that. But he's probably 60, 70 years old, and he's seen his share of shows. But
Yeah, he has.
so,
Oh my
but
goodness.
this is Bobo's rabbit. This is Mr. Bobo's rabbit right here.
Wow.
Now,
Wow.
I can't imagine. I don't know how many shows it's seen, but that's his actual rabbit right there.
Oh, that's great.
He made all his own cases for his stuff. This is the case for the prop I just showed you.
Uh-huh.
He would make all his own cases, and if you have the tape from Steven's Magic Emporium of his shows, this is the effect.
Okay.
This is the finale of the show right here,
All
which
right.
is the box and the confetti vase here, where he produces the 8-foot big American flag and the 6-foot butterfly rice silk from there.
Oh,
But he
wow.
made all of his own cases, certainly, and made a lot of his own props and stuff.
Yeah.
Joe Stevens has the rights to some of those.
Uh-huh.
The coolest one that was really awesome was there's an effect where you could pick presidents, and they had a big spools of thread on a stand, like 6 or 8 spools of thread. You would pick the color, and it had blank cards
Uh-huh.
and silks, and you would pick a president. And of course, it was a force with rough and smooth on the cards.
Okay.
But the effect was, and then you put a rope into a bag, and you would pull out. It was crazy, and you'd pull out the picture, the picture of the president you chose on the card, and then when you pull the silk out, the picture of the president was embedded into the blank silk,
Oh
and
my.
that particular color thread was now gone. It was an empty spool.
Wow. A whole empty sword. What was the audience reaction to stuff like this? I mean, what were the
Man, it was
people?
crazy because and Joe Stevens bought the rights to that, but they never produced it because they couldn't find a way to produce it and make money off of it because it was so advanced. But
I
yeah,
can,
but
I can just imagine the people at that prime just going crazy over seeing something like that.
yeah, and Bobo was again, his primary thing was with kids, but he could take a coin out of his pocket and entertain 50 kids for 20 minutes with a coin. I've
Yeah.
seen it, and but he was so skilled at getting reactions from a kid's audience, either by his facial expressions, his inflection of his voice. He was so good at that. And when I met him back in New Orleans, where I'm from originally, way back when I was, man, I must have been, I don't know, 12, 13. He did a
Yeah.
lecture down there
Keep going,
at a
but
magic
think of
shop.
his facial expressions. I just want to share with people, but keep going.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he was so good at that. But I had no idea he was from here
Okay.
until I moved here. And we seen a gentleman walking through a mall one day, and I was with a guy, and I said, "Man," I said, "that guy looks so familiar." And he said, "Man, it's Bobo the magician." I said, "Shut up, man! What?" So I run him down, and
Yeah.
yeah, I run him down, and so and we got to be real good friends. And Miss Lillian passed soon after that. That was back in 1989,
Okay.
and we just got to be real good friends. We'd go hang out at his house, and he'd come to my house. We'd go to lunch, dinner, magic meetings that we go to. We'd go to magic shows, and he would always, you know, bring different things and show me. And going
Yeah.
to his house, it was like walking into the, I mean, actually walking into the past. If you had a time machine, that was it right there. He had this big
Wow.
closet, you know, and after he passed, he had the same routine, Jeff, every time we'd go into his bedroom. He had this big, huge closet and double doors, and he had keys that he wore on his hip. And he'd always go in there and say, "Come on, let me show you this." And he'd go in there, and he'd go to the blinds, and he'd look out the window, and he'd close the blinds. He would. And he had broke his hip, so he had this little gait about him when he walked now. And he'd go in there, and man, it was just shelves of, you know, like women carry their shoes. You
Uh-huh.
know, well, he had magic apparatus and stuff, all kind of stuff. And just, oh my God, everything that was in there, and pictures of the people that he had worked with and performed with. And
Oh,
it
wow.
was just, boy, it was just an awesome time just to go in there. And he'd always bring out something and say, "Here, take this with you and go work with it." And he would do his pattern. And he said, "You make up something on your own," and we would. He'd come back and show it to me, give me something else. And I said, "Man," and
Wow.
I didn't want to take it. And he said, "No," he said, "This is really," he said, "I'm not doing this much anymore." He said, "This is really too good of stuff to leave here. It
Wow.
needs to be presented, you
Oh
know,
my
it
God.
needs to be shown." And so I take very, very good care of this. And he would come to my shows sometimes,
Uh-huh.
and he would critique it. And
Yeah.
then he wasn't doing many shows at that
Okay,
time.
so that brings us to a question here, because I got one. It popped up a while from Jay, if I'm saying it right, from Mr. Blunt here. What is the single piece of advice that you always think of when you remember Bobo? Because I mean, is he critiquing you? He's making you better? Is he a harsh critic? Is he, what is he? Tell us about
Yeah,
it.
he would. He wasn't really harsh. I mean, but he would say, "You might want to do it this way. You know, this may be a better way of doing this." You
Okay.
know, and I would take it to heart, and I would really work on it.
Yeah.
And but the biggest thing I got from him, you know, anybody can go through the mechanics. You can get a book, but boy, I learned so much about the, I guess, the psychological aspect of it, of working with kids,
Uh-huh.
that just from being somebody that's been around for 50 plus years doing it, you can't get that from any book on his perspective of it. And man, he could handle any kind of an audience. I mean, any kind of an audience.
Yeah.
And you know, it come into play one time where it was something similar to that. But I was doing a show. It was in Horatio, Arkansas, and it was in Red Ribbon Week. Yeah, it was Red Ribbon Week, and we're probably, oh, I don't know, 8, 9 minutes into the show, just after the opening, and there was only two teachers for about 300 kids, 325 in there. And Bobo had showed me how to do this once before, where they had to get the kids out of the auditorium. And so this teacher comes running up. I see her in the wings of the stage over there, and she's waving her hands like this. I said, "Man, I might not be having the best show, but I mean, you know, 8 minutes in, they give me the hook already, man, you know." And so I went over there. I said, "Yes, ma'am. What is it?" She says, "We have to stop the show." I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "It's a code orange." I said, "What?" "It's a code orange." I don't know what that is. I said, "What's a code orange?" She said, "There's a bomb in the building." Okay, well, so she said, "We need to get all the kids over to the football stadium across the street." Now there's 325 kids. They're all wound up about the show, and there's two teachers.
Oh.
I said, "Okay." And I remember what he showed me and what he taught me. And I went out and I said, "Okay, look, this next trick is so big, we can't do it here."
Oh.
I said, "So we're going to go over to the football stadium." I said, "But, you know, what I need you to do is stand up single file and go row by row. no talking till we get there because it'll ruin the trick. And I got in the front. It's like the Pied Piper, just like they do. They followed me right over there, never spoke a word. And the teachers had their jaws just like, how in the world? Said, I can't take credit for this one. You know, it's Mr. Bobo. It was something. It was either a fire or something in the kitchen at one of the schools he did or something, and they had to get the kids. They didn't have to, but they wanted to get the kids out, and that's how I got them out. They would do the next one out in the parking lot, and that's how I got them out there. And I remember that, and we got all those kids out of there, single file, not a word, and end up being there. One of the high school students didn't want to take they were doing testing that day, and they didn't want to take the test, and so they called it a bomb threat. I couldn't even get my stuff out. I had to leave. I had to leave it there. I had to go back the next day and get it, and finished up the show, and then had to run up to DeQueen, Arkansas, about 10 miles up the road, and do their shows that day. But we managed it. It was okay.
Oh my goodness! Wow, that is just crazy. Well, I can't imagine. I'm gonna throw a couple pictures here to the live stream. I got some things. I think this one. You sent me this. Or this from the Gary Plants collection?
No, I think we sent you that one there.
Okay. This that's at the TAOM. That's a famous magic convention for you guys that don't know, that has run for a very long time in the state of Texas. It's every Labor Day weekend. And Bobo would present at it quite often. Here's some of his old props from his stage show. Very focused. And
his tables.
Yeah. This is a letter. This isn't your letter. I got this from Gary Plants, I believe. And you can see his signature there. Might be interested. I thought it was very interesting. I looked everywhere for what. Those of you that don't know, every time I release a Copeland Coins product, which we'll get to in just a moment here, I always include an animal with it. There's always somewhere hidden, and I couldn't figure out one because I looked if Bobo ever performed live animals, and I never found anything. But I did find things like this where he seemed to like rabbits, so there is a rabbit hidden in the new product. But here's some letters, and this is from yours. This is Gary Plant's collection as well, I believe. Is yours from Nelson Haney? Did you share this one, Darryl? I can't remember.
Yeah, Nelson was he did the I guess the artwork, I think, in there. Did he not?
He did, yeah. And this letter is the actual negotiation letter that he was paid $50 to do the artwork for the book.
Yeah. Well, when Bobo started, this is crazy too, but when he got his first big deal, he was recommended. I think the guy's name was John Sterling, and the Lyceum Agency booked him on the recommendation of Percy Abbott, the builder. I think Percy was out of Michigan, and he recommended Bobo to take Sterling's place. And so he went. That was the first agency he worked for, and his pay was $125 a week. A week.
I don't get out of bed for $125.
$125 a week, man. On the road, traveling and stuff. So, but he was glad to have it. And
sure. Yeah.
But he said his biggest regret, he got to see Thurston, all them guys, and he never got to see Houdini. And he was supposed to see Houdini.
Okay.
He had tickets to go to the show, and Houdini died about 2 weeks before the performance. Halloween night there, but he was supposed to go see him in Detroit. They were living in Canada.
To go see him, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, they were actually living in Canada. His family moved. He was born here in Texarkana in 1910, and his family moved to Ontario, Canada, and they lived there for a while before moving back here. And he was supposed to go to Detroit. He would go to Detroit all the time to see some of the big magicians like Thurston and stuff that go through there.
Okay.
And then he moved back to Texarkana, and he did window dressing for a lot of department stores and things. Then he just went into magic full time. But you used to be able to go see, the Bobo show for 10 cents, at the schools. And the last shows he did was $1. He usually had a 60-40 split with the kids, Yeah, look at there. The Bobo Magic Show. That's the book. Yeah.
There
he's got shows are outlined in it down to the last detail on how to place the stuff on the tables,
Yeah, there's the rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of neat stuff in this. And a lot
of
classic pictures. This is
Now I'll tell you, if anybody out there is listening and you can get your hands on this, he had he has that book, and he has the modern coin magic book.
Yeah.
But there's one out there that's a real collectible. and it's called Watch This One.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, if you can get your hands on that one, scoop it up, man. There's not a lot of those floating around out there for sure.
I have his lecture notes, and his lecture notes
Yeah,
really show a lot of the brilliance of Bobo because he's a very concise writer. And I believe that's why the book has lasted for so long. I think that's why New Modern Coin Magic is still relevant. There's a lot of stuff that maybe some of the dress and the style has changed and attitudes, and people
yeah,
aren't carrying $50 in their pockets. Um,
exactly. Yeah,
but the book it's written to last. It really is. And
it stood the test of time, and it will. And again, not trying to beat a dead horse, but you if you're going to do magic, you got to have the book.
yeah,
I mean, everybody has the book. I mean, Copperfield did a show through here, back in 94, 95, not too long before Bobo died. We were at the show, and he acknowledged him at the show, and Copperfield has the book. So,
yeah.
if he's got it,
Wow.
you need to have it, but it's hard to know where you're going if you can't figure out where you've been. And so a lot of what you see out there is to hear. And I'll just give you an example. Okay, we have an inflatable business here in town. It's
Uh-huh.
the largest one in the region. And so when we go out and drop off inflatables, there's a move in there, utility move in there. It's called the Bobo switch,
Yes.
where you can change one object to another. It takes a little practice, but it's not hard to do. But I'll go out there, and when the kids are always there when we go there, and so I try and promote without actually promoting, the magic aspect of the business. And so I'll find a rock, and there's a story out there that all this used to be the Gulf of Mexico, which it was. It's a true story. And
Yeah.
I'll tell them when the waters receded, I said it left a lot of mineral deposits and stuff in rocks. There's a big, long scientific name for them, but most people call them money rocks. And I'll look around and I'll pretend to find one of the money rocks.
Yeah.
I say, yeah, and I'll hand it to the kid. They'll look at it and say, you see all those little dots and specks in there? Well, that's the precious metals that was left behind when the waters receded. And I'll do it, and I'll have like a quarter or nickel, whatever I have, and find and palm it, and I'll do the switch, and I'll squeeze it, and I'll say, and then what happens is it changes, and that's why people call them money rocks. Boy, their eyes just get like
Yeah.
huge like this, and boy, they say, right away they go digging for more rocks. You can always tell where we've been because I got a load of gravel
Back to
coming
you
in
with
the
all
next
these
day.
rocks.
Yeah, and so what I do is I say, but that's not the best part of the trick. I said, I've done this for like 30 years. I said, it works every time.
Uh-huh.
I said, if you'll take that quarter and put it under your pillow tonight, when you wake up in the morning, you'll have a brand new $1 bill. I said, and don't forget to tell mom or dad I said that before you go to bed. Now, and I'll pull my card out, and I'll say, now look, if it doesn't work, you call this number, and I'll know who to see about it. And so what I do is, now I've got a way to present my card.
Yeah.
But on the back, what they can't see is I'm holding it like this, and then I'll hand it to the parents like this. But on the back, I've got a dollar bill, and on the inside, I've got it signed. Thanks for getting the bounce house, and thanks for letting me be part of your day. I'll just put a little note on it.
Yeah.
Well, they'll never spend that dollar, and they'll never get rid of this card.
Yeah.
And so it's very easy to do. And that one simple move in that book right there, I guarantee you, has repaid the price of that book. Whatever I paid for it back then has repaid that 200 times over. I have probably booked at least 100 shows.
Wow.
At least that, off of that one simple move and this right here.
Yeah.
So if you guys out there can see that, get your card, get your dollar, learn the Bobo switch, and you'll never lack from work. Right there.
I believe it, man. That is brilliant. I love it that you give them the dollar. I think you take away all the friction, you make it happen. It's really smart. And
well, I'm not really giving it to them. I bumped the price of the bounce house up about $10.
Yeah.
So I'm making $9 off the deal. Somebody's got to pay for all these groupies out here.
Are they still banging on the windows?
Well, they're not really banging. It's just at my age, my groupies get older, so they're out there in little rascal scooters and and walkers. So.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up real quick. I just want to share with you guys what Darryl's talking about with the book and give you a little bit more details here. We've got here, if I can pull it up, this is JB Bobo in his prime. and I hired Ever, from my friend from down in Mexico, to help some new artwork for the book. What happened was this book is now in its 14th, 16th printing. I can't remember right now. And they got rid of the dust jacket. There's no longer a dust jacket, which Darryl, you had a copy of the dust jacket on you, I believe.
Yeah, I do, right there.
And
the
this
right
book
here.
is still legitimate. There it is. You see the dust jacket. It's still legitimate. There's nothing wrong with it. It's been expanded. This is you can read on my website about what makes this different over a knockoff paperback edition. This is the legitimate Magic Ink publisher book. It has hundreds of more pages, or 150 more pages, 4 extra chapters. It's large. It's revised. It is the official book that was last written by Bobo. And what I've done is I have tried to hopefully improve it and help it a little bit, bring it up to date with this new dust jacket. So we took, I took a picture of Bobo in his prime, and we've redone the Coin Man, and I'll show it here. Try to get it for you guys. There it is. The Coin Man on the cover. He has been redone, and this is a tribute to Bobo, as he had this dual career, which you just heard Darryl share about. He performed in schools. So here he is in I like to think it's like his last performance in a schoolhouse, and the spotlight is created by a setting sun in the window, and Bobo is performing his magician act, like this mythical appearance of coins, like he might perform at a TOM convention or for all the magicians, but he's performing in the schoolhouse. And so it says,
how would you like to see, Jeff, the last trick he ever performed before his death in the hospital? It's in the book. It's on the Stevens video.
Really?
It's in there. Should be the Witch Doctor coin. But this is also the oldest piece of magic that he owned. This is a coin, for a German coin, a Trimark from 1912 that he used to perform that trick. But this is the trick that he used, and he performed it in a hospital for the nurses before he passed away. Actually, about 2 hours before he passed away. But that's the trick right there.
That is it.
The Witch Doctor coin.
Wow. But he was performing on his deathbed. Is that what I just heard?
Yeah, he had broke his hip again, second time, and he was just never the same once Miss Lillian passed, you know. And Miss Lillian's sister moved in and tried to take care of him, but he just wasn't the same, you know, after that. And he realized that when he retired. I think in '94 he did his last show, passed away in '96. But he was just, you can't be with somebody working every day for 45, 50 years, you know, and then they're gone. And so, but he was just different. And I don't want to say he just gave up, but he just didn't have that drive that he had. Well, I mean, he wasn't cheated. I mean, you know, he had some years on him.
86, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, 86. Yeah, 86 years. September 12th, 1996 is when he passed. And I was
celebrated his birthday,
Yeah, and I was very, very fortunate to, very honored to do the broken wand ceremony at his funeral, and so that was awesome. An honor for me.
And you have a wand from that? Is that correct?
Well, he had a couple of wands, and the one they sent with him was from we put in the casket with him, the one he used in his shows. This is one of his wands here that was given to him by Blackstone, Harry Blackstone.
Wow.
There's a walnut wand, very, very nice piece of magic here. But so we have that one. He rarely used this one. Sometimes he used for close up, but very rarely did he use this one. Pull it out, more of a conversation piece, and tell him where it came from. But yeah, we've got that. And but man, you know, again, to your audience out there, you got to have the book, man. Get a hold of Jeff, get the book, and even if you got it's hundreds and hundreds of effects in there.
There's lifetime material for sure.
Yeah, and so you'll never get through it all, and you may not ever learn all of it. But man, if you could just learn 5 or 6 of things out of there, like I said, that one move, that Bobo switch, you can work it into so many things. And again, with one business card and $1, and that one simple move, I have booked literally hundreds of shows over the years using that one simple move. And so, and you're welcome to use this. I don't know if I invented it or reinvented it or whatever, but you got my permission to use it. because
Oh,
I
thanks,
use it a
Daryl. Thanks
bunch.
for sharing that with us. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
incredible.
and
No,
so
I wish I could
use it.
figure out how I'd monetize off this book like you, but I would say that, well, look at the website address below, and that this has been foundational for
Yeah, exactly,
moves
man.
out of this
And
book.
so
It's got most of the moves, the foundation at least of those moves that are
yeah,
everything taught at Copa Coins can be found
and
here.
I know you've made it as easy as possible for them to get their hands on it for sure.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
yeah,
And we got
so
it
get a
bundled
hold.
with a brand new bookmark that holds your coin for practice. We didn't really get time to talk about that today, but check it out on the website. Got
Yeah,
some great colors. I even have it in the original. This is what I call Erdnase green. This is the Erdnase first edition. If you're a fan of card magic, you'll recognize this color from first edition Erdnase books.
yeah.
And these are great bookmarks. You can check them out on the website. It shows how they work, and they hold your coins for practice. We got the books. Yeah, thanks for sharing that with Daryl. Thanks for helping me market. But I'm going to give you the final word. You guys can check this out at copelandcoins.com. But Daryl, is there any final thing you would like to share with us about this amazing magician, his life?
Man, you always say, when you're on the road, don't skimp on food, eat what you want, you know, and when you're
Uh-huh.
out there, and I've taken that to heart for sure. But he would always say, what do you want people to remember, about the shows? And it would never be the magic. It would always be the fun.
Mm,
Have fun at what you do. And, and the other advice he told me, if you're going to do it as a business, get someone else to handle the business aspect of it for you. Because
okay.
if you have to do the business end of it, it becomes a business and it's not nearly as enjoyable. And I've
Mm,
always done that. So I have somebody else that handles that business end of it for me. And so I
yeah.
just go concentrate on the shows. The girls will be here in a little while. We'll be pulling out and heading out to the shows if I can get these groupies away from the door. But,
You might run them
you know,
over.
it shouldn't be hard. They can't go very fast on those little rascal scooters. So, but man, get the book, get to work on it, have fun. If you have any questions, send them to Jeff. Jeff can send them to me. I'll be
Yeah,
glad to
well,
answer any
I'll tell
questions that
people
you
where
have.
you're at. You listen, guys. Daryl is the example of success. Like he says, people handle his bookings. He is busy. He's evidence of it. He's in the motorhome. Daryl, this is Facebook page, and you don't even really work off a website. It's just fantastic. He's just out there, everyday rock star. So
I
yeah,
don't know about that of being a rock star, but when you've done it long enough and you have enough contacts, the contacts find business for you and send you business. And so I'm very, very blessed in that respect. Very
yeah.
blessed. We're slowing down now. I'm not getting any younger. I'll be 29 soon. So again, but
Again.
yeah. So
Yeah. Well,
no,
reach out to Daryl. If you have questions for us, it's team@copelandcoins.com. Get the book, get the bundle with the bookmark, get everything copelandcoins.com. But thank you, Daryl. This was just this wisdom, this insight. I am going
man,
to go
Jeff,
back
I
and watch this
appreciate you
again.
giving me the opportunity to talk about Bobo. And you guys, man, get the book. You won't be disappointed. You know, uh, get the book. Get your own groupies. You'll be good to go, man. Really.
Absolutely. All right,
So
guys. With that note, with that word of advice, we'll say you guys take care. God go out, make beautiful magic.
sounds good, Jeff. Have a great day, man. Y'all take care. Get the book.
All right. Bye.